So let's talk quickly. So as we start getting towards the second report, what was the status at this time of Stephanie McMahon and Triple H? Because when Vince steps down, Stephanie steps in as the new CEO, but it wasn't just a month earlier or so when she was gone from the company.
Yeah, May. So that was another shocker, was in May when she, took a leave of absence. And, when it's funny when it came out, almost nobody knew about that was coming, but there were people who did know.
Right.
And there was a reason, and I don't know the reason. Nobody would tell me. I mean, they would just say, there's a reason. I kind of like that encouragement to dig, but like 3 people in the world know, and, all 3 of them aren't going to tell me, but there was a reason that she left. And then, they filled her vacancy. They filled her spot. It wasn't like she was going to go for, a couple of months. I mean, they hired someone from Manchester United to head her division. And so she's gone. And then when he steps down as CEO, she's the new interim CEO. So I hear that and I go, okay, he's stepping down figuratively. She's in the spot for a corporate reason, and he's still head of creative. So I figured it's a cosmetic thing. I didn't think it was anything serious, but it was interesting that she left, which was supposed to be for a long time. And I mean, I think the word was she would come back at some point, but no time soon. And now all of a sudden she's essentially in the highest position in the company. And now a couple of weeks later, her and her husband, Paul Hunter, are basically running the entire wrestling into the company. Which
is interesting too, because when she left, there was almost kind of some derogatory statements made towards her, almost a little bit of a burial.
Yeah. I mean, and that one really surprised me. And I had actually heard this from other reporters. And then it came out in Business Insider, the Business Insider website, newspaper, or whatever, where they basically said she wasn't good at her job and that Vince was the one who made the decision to let her go. Jeez. Not she was leaving. And I knew that to be false. Like I was telling people, I know this to be false. I know she left on her own. Why are they burying her? I couldn't figure it out. And people were, everybody's speculating why you would do that. And then here she is. It's like one of those things where, I don't know. I mean, I just remember like certain people would be gone. You've been through this. People that you don't like, let's say, are gone from power and you're celebrating. And it's like, I'm never going to have to deal with them again. And then like 8 years later, all of a sudden, they're back in that position. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute. And maybe you've even been, maybe you haven't, but I know people who have, when they're gone, just buried them very publicly. Then all of a sudden they're your boss. And then it's like, man.
Oh yeah.
Like, you never know who's going to come back. I mean, it's like people who you think are, long gone from wrestling.
That's why you never talk bad about your buddies when they break up with their girlfriend or their wives. If they come back, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too, because at this point in time, Triple H was gone because he suffered the heart attack. Shane was let go 6 months prior. So at this quick point in time, there was no other McMahons around except for Vince.
Well, Paul was back when Stephanie left.
Gotcha.
So he had actually just started working, but Shane was gone. But he was not, he was doing like NIL deals and scouting and things like that, where it's like he's got a job and he's important and he's, taking pictures with people and everything. But it wasn't as if, he was running creative for NXT since the start of NXT, and he was always involved in the creative situation. And that had kind of stopped. Mm-hmm. So, it's another thing of like a guy who was out of creative and out of talent relations, and now he's running both again. And, and it's probably a good thing. I mean, everyone's, for the most part, I mean, there's uncertainty there, of course, but a lot of people are just excited. It's a new,
right.
Vince had been running it for so long that it was probably time in some ways for somebody new to just come in with new ideas.